White Sox fans. This is the Sox Machine White Sox wake-up call for Wednesday, June 7th, 2023. I'm Josh Nelson. Not going to lie, I was pretty skeptical of the White Sox in the month of June. We talked about on the podcast recapping May that this month could be a slippery slope. After Detroit was a daunting 22-game stretch against winning teams and 13 of those games on the road, where the White Sox were 10-20 on the road, heading to the Bronx on Tuesday night. Whatever hopes and dreams of a rally in 2023 could be dashed in the next 3 weeks. But this month is starting out funny, but in a good way for the White Sox. Finally, some good luck. Detroit didn't have Riley Green and Eduardo Rodriguez for the series this past weekend. The New York Yankees didn't have Aaron Judge in the lineup as he's still dealing with a bruised toe. And Nestor Cortez Jr. was officially out for his probable start on Wednesday. The load got easier for the White Sox as Lucas Giolito made the start in hazy weather conditions. Tuesday night, if you use the hockey stars of the game model, would feature Kendall Graveman for pitching through the Yankees' best hitters in the 8th inning. Lucas Giolito would be the second star for going 6 hitless innings against the Yankees. But the player of the game was Seby Zavala. Yes, Seby had a multi-home run game for the White Sox. He drove in all 3 runs while doing an excellent job of framing pitches in the zone to get close calls for his pitchers. It's a random, outstanding game from Zavala, but hey, these types of performances happen over a 162-game season. Zavala's first home run traveled just 320 feet as it sunk into the first row in right field bleachers at Yankee Stadium. The popular Twitter account, Would It Dawn, had Zavala's home run only being a homer at Yankee Stadium and nowhere else. Take the luck where you could find it. Zavala's second home run was an absolute no-doubter. With an exit velocity of 109.8 miles per hour, it traveled 435 feet. It was a 2-run shot, too, thanks to Romy Gonzalez reaching on a flare single to left field. White Sox had a 3-0 lead at one point. Giolito threw exactly 100 pitches and looked good. Again, with the poor air quality due to the Canadian wildfires, smoke was blowing into New York City, so it was a health factor. Giolito threw 46 fastballs at average 94.2 miles per hour, which is a 1.3 mile per hour uptick on a season average. His max fastball velocity was 95.8 miles per hour. So all great signs that Giolito physically was on point despite the weather conditions. Giolito threw 34 sliders and 20 changeups to round out his totals. Out of the 36 swings from the Yankees, Giolito generated 10 whiffs, which equals a 28% whiff rate. But it was his slider that was doing the most damage as Yankees hitters whiffed 7 out of 12 swings against Giolito's slider. There was some weirdness in the 7th inning. With 2 outs, Joe Kelly walked a batter, and then a line drive was hit between Andrew Benintendi and Luis Robert Jr. in left center field. Somehow, neither caught the liner, so it was the Yankees' first base hit, and Robert stood behind the bounce, which means he could have caught the ball, but he held up due to some unknown factor. Miscommunication or no communication with Benintendi. Then another single that was hit to right field, and suddenly it's a 3-1 game. Kelly did get out of the inning without any more damage, but it was a weird way to lose a no-hitter, and honestly, Robert should have made the catch. If he does, a no-hitter's intact, going to the 7th inning, the Yankees are still held scoreless. Graveman took on Gleyber Torres, Giancarlo Stanton, and Anthony Rizzo in order without Aaron Judge around. That's the best the Yankees can offer at the moment. So in the 9th inning, Pedro Grifol went to Liam Hendriks. In his first save opportunity against a team that has hit him well, it was a tough task for Hendriks. His first pitch was an inside fastball against Josh Donaldson, and the nemesis took it out to a deep left home run solo shot, cutting the lead to 3-2. So if Roberts did make that catch in the 7th inning, that's how the no-hitter would have been broken up, was with Donaldson's home run against Liam Hendriks. Now, without a margin of error, Hendriks had to find a way to get 3 outs, which he did, thanks to 3 grounders all hit to Tim Anderson, who did an excellent job defending that inning. Hendriks picks up his first save since beating cancer, and the White Sox won 3-2. That's 4 straight wins for the White Sox, which is now the longest winning streak of 2023. They're rolling, baby. Last 4 games, the White Sox pitching staff has held the Tigers and Yankees offenses to just 5 runs. That will work. Offensively, Luis Robert went 2 for 4. Andrew Benintendi went 0 for 2, but he was hit by a pitch and walked. Yohan Mikado went 1 for 4, but was gingerly walking back to the dugout in his last at-bat, something to monitor when the lineups come out on Wednesday. Gavin Sheets was 1 for 3, and Romy Gonzalez was 1 for 3. And, of course, Seby Zavala, 2 for 3 with his big 2 home runs. The White Sox are now 27-35. Tonight, Game 2 against the Yankees as Lance Lynn takes the mound. Again, the White Sox pitching staff has allowed just 5 runs in their last 4 games, but that streak seems to be at risk with Lynn pitching. It's a 6.55 ERA for Lynn in 2023. He's allowing 2 home runs per 9 innings, which is a career high. His walk per 9 innings is 3.48, which is the highest rate since 2018. The BABIP against Lynn is 335, which is the highest in the last 5 years. When Lynn is pitching out of the stretch, opposing teams are hitting 375 against Lance Lynn. By the way, Lynn has gotten 73 outs pitching in the stretch. He's allowed 39 hits and 12 walks, so that's 51 base runners. Not a good ratio, and 10 of those 39 hits have gone for home runs against Lynn. So it is imperative that Lynn spends as much time away from the stretch as possible, because when there are no runners on, meaning that Lynn is pitching out of the windup, opposing hitters are just hitting 220 against Lance Lynn. The good news for Lynn, no Aaron Judge. Jack Curry of the Yes Network reported on Twitter that Judge is now heading to the injured list for his toe injury, which means the White Sox will not face him in this series. Suddenly, this Yankees lineup is not so scary. We'll see what the Yankees do on the pitching front with Cortez in the injured list too. First pitch is at 6:10 p.m. Central Time, and you can watch the game on NBC Sports Chicago or listen on ESPN 1000 AM. Down on the farm, England at Georgia, the Charlotte Knights had a 4-1 lead but coughed it up late as the Atlanta Braves affiliate roared back to win 5-4. Victor Reyes had a triple at 2 RBIs. Oscar Colas went 1 for 2 with 2 walks. He's hitting .306 with an .827 OPS at AAA. Justin Schultz went 4 in the 3rd innings, allowed 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, and he only struck out 1. The Knights dropped to 28-30. Birmingham was down 3-0 in the 3rd inning, but they came back to beat the Chattanooga Lookouts 5-3. Alexander Womack went 3 for 5 with an RBI. Moises Castillo went 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs. Brian Ramos was 0 for 4 as he struggled at AA. He's hitting .227 with a .597 OPS. Matthew Thompson went 4 innings, allowed 6 hits, 3 runs, 2 of them earned, 1 walk and 3 strikeouts. The Winston-Salem Dash were up 4-1 heading into the bottom of the 8th inning, but Bowling Green scored 4 runs to steal a victory away. The Dash only had 2 RBIs out of their 4 runs, and nobody had a multi-hit game. On the pitching front, Connor McCullough went 5 innings, allowed 4 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, and 2 strikeouts. Jeremiah Burke went 2 innings, no runs allowed, just 1 hit, no walks, and struck out 4 out of the bullpen. Kannapolis walked off the Lynchburg Hillcats in extra innings, winning 4-3 in 10. Bryce Willits hit his 7th home run of the season, but it was Tim Elko coming up with the big hit for the Cannonballers. His first triple of the season in the 10th inning tied the game, and Elko would score off Jacob Burke's single for the winning run. The Cannonballers are 27-24. News around Major League Baseball. The Athletics' move to Las Vegas is on shakier ground than thought. Nevada Congress did not vote on a bill to provide public funding for a new stadium, and there's some doubt if they will host a special session on the matter. A lesson learned is to get your politicians lined up before announcing a public move, folks. On the injury front, bad news for the Texas Rangers, as Jacob deGrom will miss the rest of the 2023 season, needing to have Tommy John surgery. This will be deGrom's 2nd Tommy John surgery, and the bounce back from a 2nd surgery is always tougher on pitchers. Mike Clevenger is doing all right since his 2nd surgery, and Nathan Eovaldi is the best case scenario, but the track record is not great. That's a lot of money tied up to deGrom for Texas. Scores around Major League Baseball. Kevin Gausman has been good for the Toronto Blue Jays in 2023. He held the Houston Astros to just 1 run and lowers his season ERA down to 2.63 as the Blue Jays win 5-1. The Blue Jays are now 34-28 in 2023. Break up the Oakland A's. They crushed the NL Central leading Pittsburgh Pirates 11-2. Yeah, there's a lot going on in that sentence. The A's are 13-50 in 2023. Old friend Dane Dunning is on a roll as he improves to 5-1 with a 2.52 ERA as the Texas Rangers beat the St. Louis Cardinals 6-4. The Cardinals have a worse record than the White Sox. They're at 25-37, which is just odd. The Rangers are now 20 games above 500. They're 40-20. The Arizona Diamondbacks are 36-25 in 2023 as they smash the Washington Nationals 10-5. That's important, as the Cincinnati Reds call up their uber prospect Ella De La Cruz as he went 1 for 3 with a double and 2 walks. But it was fellow rookie Matt McClain with the walk-off hit as the Cincinnati Reds scored 3 runs in the bottom of the 9th inning to beat the Los Angeles Dodgers 98. With the Dodgers loss, the Diamondbacks are now in first place of the National League West. The Milwaukee Brewers walked off the Baltimore Orioles at extras, winning 4-3 in 10 innings. Scores around the American League Central. Philadelphia scored 1 run against Detroit, and it was in the first inning, and they only had 3 hits in the game. But they won 1-0. The Tigers only had 3 hits, so that's 3 runs scored in the Tigers' last 4 games. Yikes. Boston and Cleveland were tied 2-2 heading into the 8th inning, but both teams had late rallies. The Red Sox scored 3 runs at the top of the 8th, but the Guardians only scored 2 in the bottom, and that allowed the Red Sox to win 5-4. The Minnesota Twins are in Tampa Bay this week, and their game went as well as the White Sox did at St. Petersburg as the Rays won 7-0, and the Miami Marlins beat the Kansas City Royals 6-1, which means everyone lost in the American League Central last night except for the White Sox. Your updated AL Central standings. The Twins are still in first place. They're 31-30, but they've lost their last 3 games. Cleveland falls to 27-33. They're 3.5 games back. Detroit is 26-33. They're 4 games back. They've lost their last 5 games. The Chicago White Sox, thanks to that 4-game winning streak, are now 27-35. They're 4.5 games back of the Minnesota Twins, just a half game back of Detroit for 3rd place, and they are a game back of Cleveland for 2nd place. Kansas City drops to 18-43. They're 13 games back. They have a winning percentage of .295, and they can think about the 2024 MLB draft. That will do it for this White Sox wake-up call. You can follow us on Twitter. We're at Sox Machine. You can also follow me on Twitter at SoxMachine_Josh. Subscribe to the Sox Machine podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, such as Spotify and Apple Music. We also upload podcast episodes into our YouTube channel, which please subscribe to at youtube.com/SoxMachine. If you enjoy our work and want more, subscribe to our Patreon to receive exclusive content, ad-free versions of the website and podcasts, and when we have new Sox Machine swag, our Patreon supporters are the first ones to receive it. Monthly plans start at $2, or you can save with an annual subscription. Again, sign up at patreon.com/SoxMachine. White Sox Wake Up Call is a production of SoxMachine.com, your home for all things Chicago White Sox baseball, and part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network. I'm Josh Nelson. Thanks for listening.